All right, listen. We had a bye week. Um, what do you like to talk about when there's a bye week? People like to say, "Did we win the bye week?" Right? That's a thing that people say. Did the Miami Dolphins win the bye week? Overall picture, I would say we did not win the bye week. There were certain games that, um, look. Before we get started, I want everyone to know before we get into this episode because of the title. I do not think the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs, and we're definitely not going to make the playoffs. But if you're watching my podcast, I'm an optimistic Dolphins fan, and I'm mostly this channel is to teach Dolphin fans how to cheer, especially when you're having a losing season. How do I be excited? What do I watch for in each game? How do I stay, you know, how do I stay involved in the Miami Dolphins when they're having a bad year? Well, that's why you come to this channel. I teach that. I don't think we're going to go to the playoffs, but let's have fun. Let's pretend we are. So on this episode, we're going to assume the Dolphins win out and go 10-7. Okay? The question is, does that get them in the playoffs? They'll need a lot of help. Not necessarily. And we start with, did we win the bye week? Okay, it's tough because, look, if the Colts win, huge game. Because we need the Colts to win their division because we lost to them. And also adding a sixth loss to Kansas City with 6 more games to go. And we have no involvement with KC besides the conference record. A huge loss that would have been for the Chiefs. And you could almost guarantee that they don't make the playoffs because they're behind, the Chargers. And they would be behind the Jags. They lost to the Jags. And some of the other wild card teams. Because as of right now, the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed are the Chargers, Jaguars, and Bills. Will it end that way? We will find out. But the Chiefs are not in the playoffs as it is. They arguably have to kind of go 5-1 down the stretch to make the playoffs. They could probably get 11-6 will get you in the playoffs. 10-7 is what will be a curious to see if there's a 10-7 team looking outside looking in. And I think there will be in the AFC, but I don't know about the NFC. We'll see. But they didn't win the bye week because of the Kansas City. That was the biggest one where I was like, look, can I be delusional? And I talk about it every week on the podcast. How can you be delusional as a Dolphin fan? We need reasons to be delusional to think we're going to make the playoffs. And the Colts ruining that game ruined our delusion. Because if the Colts win, I would give you guys, hey, let's be a little delusional. There's a little hope. All right? And then the Jaguars almost losing to the Cardinals. Another one. If the Jags lose to the Cardinals, they have 5 losses. You're looking at like, okay, now it's opened up. Now the wild card has opened up and we can be a lot more delusional because the 7th seed would have 5 losses and we'd be only 2 games out with 6 games to go. And it's not looking great necessarily for the Jags. They don't look tough. The Chargers have 4 losses. They're banged up. They got a tougher schedule. And the Bills losing Thursday night, that made it a little bit better too. You're like, they're 7-4 and they got a lot of problems. Could they get to 7 losses? And if they get to 7 losses, do we have a tiebreaker over them? I don't know. We'd have to see how it unfolds. But there's a place where they could get to 7 losses. It would be a disaster of a collapse for the Bills, but there's a chance. So we lost the bye week because, yes, the Bills lost, but the Jaguars and the Chiefs winning were really, those were 2 games where you needed them to lose for sure. Steelers losing helps, but we play them, so we kind of control our own destiny with them. We have to beat them, and then we could talk about them losing another game, and we'll have the tiebreaker over them. So I wasn't really excited that they lost. I was more really rooting for that Chiefs one, and obviously the Jags I didn't think were going to lose, but when it came very close to them losing, I was like, this could make me more delusional. So look, let's go forward. And I'll do the NFC just for fun. But right now, with the current standings, the 1 seed is New England Patriots 10-2. 2 seed Broncos 9-2. Colts 8-3 at the 3 seed. 4 seed is the Ravens 6-5, which is good because they beat us. We don't want them in the wild card. 5th seed is the Chargers 7-4, and ultimately the reason the Dolphins, even if they won out, didn't make the playoffs would be because of the Chargers game. That game would be the difference. If we win that game, we are 5-6, and you're arguably, with the schedule, you're looking at a very realistic delusional outcome to the season if we beat the Chargers, because then they are 6-5 and we're 5-6, and we're a game back of the 7th seed with 6 games to go. So at the end of the year, I think there's a possibility where we're like, man, those 2 games that we barely lost were the difference in us making the playoffs, which is a huge improvement. You started off 1-6 and you get to 7 or 8 wins. Mike McDaniel saved his job. That's what I think. I personally think the team's clearly playing for him. So we start with week 13. You have, again, these games don't matter, but I'm going to go through and do them all. You have Green Bay at Lions. I'm going to do the Lions. Chiefs at Cowboys. For the sake of argument, we're a Cowboys fan. Let's root for the Cowboys. Let's say the Cowboys win, okay? Bengals, Ravens. I know Joe Burrow's coming back. I can't assume he's going to come back and throw 5 touchdowns. Their defense plays better, and the Ravens continue to struggle offensively, but their defense has been unbelievable. I don't see how they would lose this, and all those things would have to happen for them to lose. So I'm going with the Ravens. Bears, Eagles. Game doesn't matter. Eagles are coming off a loss. Bears 8-3. Getting lucky too much. I'm going to go with the Eagles rebounding with a win here. 49ers, Browns. Feels like a trap game. Purdy hasn't played good. Browns defense is unbelievable. Shedeur Sanders, for the sake of let's have fun, let's take the Browns beating the 49ers this week. And realistically, check that spread out. I think that would be a good bet. I think that's a game to watch out for. I don't necessarily think the 49ers go in there and easily win. They barely escaped. If Carolina had any sort of offensive momentum, they could have lost that game. So why not think that the Bears can carry this momentum with Shedeur Sanders and Myles Garrett goes for 7 sacks. So let's pick the Browns. And again, we can go back and adjust some of the weeks at the end to see was that a deciding game? We'll find out. Jags, Titans. Anything could happen. Titans looked a little bit better offensively, but the Jags are probably going to win. So, again, at the end of the season, we'll go back and be like, well, let's just know. Maybe we know that if the Jags lose this week, that's our only way of maybe making the playoffs. But Jags win. Houston versus Indianapolis. This is such a huge game. And the reasons are, you might think we want the Colts to win to knock Houston out, right? Because Houston is at 6-5. So you want them to get to 7 losses to be tied with the Dolphins and have a conference record that is as bad as the Dolphins or something. But also, it forces the Colts to be in more of a must-win situation down the road if they did lose. If the Colts lost this game, then all of a sudden, Houston is just, a game back. And then Jacksonville and Indianapolis are tied for first. And it makes things a lot more interesting. But coming off the tough lot, I think Indianapolis wins. But we'll come back to that game maybe. Indianapolis wins. Houston's got 6 losses. That's big. And then Dolphins, Saints. I truly do believe we're going to win this game. So that's a win, even though we said we're winning out anyways. Atlanta versus the New York Jets. This is a toss-up. For the sake of wanting the Jets to not be in a desperate situation where they have to win, let's just say the Jets win this week. It just that doesn't matter. 2 teams, the outcome of that game is not going to affect any of the playoff situation. Rams at Carolina. I think the Rams are just the best team in football right now. And as much as Carolina is in a must-win situation after losing, I don't think they do. And Rams win that, and that pretty much gives breathing room for the Bucs to be like, all right, look, even though we've lost a bunch of games and Mayfield is injured, we still have 2 games ahead against the Panthers. We control our own destiny, and the Bucs should still easily win the division. as they play Cardinals Bucks. Cardinals Bucks. Got to go with the Bucks. Vikings Seahawks. Seahawks another good defense. I assume they're gonna win. That's another game I would bet on. Another game I'm betting on. Seahawks at home. Dolphins at home. And really, those are the only two for sure ones. Would you be like, if I know I'm getting off track, but would you be shocked if Dallas won? Would you be shocked if the Browns won? And the Jags, I would probably bet on the Jags and bet on them knowing that if I lose the bet, at least the Jags lost, which is a good thing for the Dolphins. And then we got the Chargers Raiders. Chargers are probably going to win, but another game you never know. Let's keep an eye on, we hope, but I'm going to give the Chargers a win on this one. Bills Steelers. I think the Bills are going to win, but would you be shocked if the Steelers won? That's all I'm saying. Let's give the Bills the win. We can come back. This week 13 is big. There's a lot of playoff implications in this week. I think you're going to look back on this week and be like, wow, what big games there were. There's a lot of conference games. Houston, Indianapolis, that's a division game. Bills, Steelers, conference game. Division game. Raiders, Chargers. That affects the Chargers. If they win, it doesn't affect, the Raiders at all. But Rams, Panthers, there's a lot of Chiefs, Cowboys. Not the same conference, but a big game for both. Both of them feel like whoever loses this is out of the playoff. Likely they're not going to play. Cowboys are 5-5-1. If they win this and they're 6-5-1, looking at the 7th seed is 7-4-1, the Packers. They're right in it. They're right back in it. Okay, so Chiefs are out of it, it feels like, if they lose. So then we get to Broncos, Washington. I got to pick the Broncos. Giants, Patriots. I got to assume the Patriots. Okay? So now after week 13, playoffs still the same in the AFC. And we're nowhere closer, assuming all those teams won, because the 7th seed is 8-4, but we are now 5-7. So still 3 games back, but there's only 5 games left, guys. And in the NFC, Rams, Eagles, Detroit, and Bucks, the division, and the wild card is still Seattle, Chicago, Green Bay, with the Lions. The Lions are actually the division, take over the division, but who's left out? It would be San Francisco at 8-4. How crazy is that? An 8-4 team in the NFC will be looking in, and that's because why would they Green Bay Packers have the 7th seed losing to the Lions over the 49ers, who are because we have them losing. I'm sorry, because we have them losing to the Browns. So, and likely they win that, and it puts them at in the 6th seed at 9-4. That would be a little bit more realistic. All right, let's give the 49ers the win. Let's give them the win, and they're the 6th seed, and the Bears are the 7th seed. See, I already switched it because no, let's give the Browns the win again and assume. I didn't like what I saw out of Purdy. All right, let's go to week 14. Week 14, Cowboys at Lions. Do we want to play the hypothetical with the way the Cowboys are playing, and let's get on the high? For fun, let's do it. Cowboys beat the Lions. It's not unreasonable to think that. Dolphins, Jets. Dolphins win on the road. Steelers, Ravens. Got to go with the Ravens. Saints, Bucks. Bucks. Colts, Jags. I'm gonna go with the Colts. Another division game. That division is gonna get very interesting, and that's why I said, wow. Imagine if they lost to Houston, and then Jags, Colts are fighting for first place, which they are anyways. But I'm gonna go Colts. Titans, Browns. I'm gonna go with Browns. And Shedeur Sanders, all of a sudden, they got this fun little win streak. What a fun! They're 5-8. Imagine they win 3 in a row. This could be a fun holiday story. Watch out for the Browns. They got a kind of if they can get past the 49ers, they could then definitely beat the Titans the next week and have a 3-game winning streak with Shedeur Sanders. That's a fun storyline. How fun is that? Browns win 3 in a row? 5-8? Stefanski saves his job with such a horrible quarterback roster? What a great coach. He's won Coach of the Year twice. People thinking maybe he gets replaced this year. Not if they're 5-8. Washington, Minnesota. Is Washington checked out? Daniels come back? What's the point? Do they rush him back? Or does Minnesota try to win? Let's give it to Minnesota at home. Seahawks, Atlanta. Seahawks win this. Man, Seahawks are going to have a very good record. Bengals at Bills. Joe Burrow's back. Is this a world where he upsets them? You know, in week 13, we gave the Bills the win over the Steelers. In week 14, I got to assume we give the Bills the win. But, like, what if? That's what I'm saying. We can have fun. Let's give it to the Bills still, 9-4. Broncos at Raiders. Broncos win. Bears, Packers. Bears, Packers. I'm going to give it to the Packers at home. Rams, Cardinals, Rams. Houston versus Kansas City. Let's be realistic. Kansas City wins this. Eagles at Chargers. Eagles. So now, week 14 is already making it exciting. Week 14's done. 1 seed is now Denver. 2 seed Patriots. 3 seed Colts at 10-3. 4 seed Ravens. 5th seed is the Bills at 9-4. 6th seed 8-5 Jags. 7th seed 8-5 Chargers. And this is assuming the Bills didn't lose either of those 2 games, and assuming the Chargers only lose one of the next 2. And the Jags beating the Titans as well, but losing the next week. So that helps. That helps for sure. And the NFC, everything's the same with the divisions, although the Green Bay would be the division lead. Let's just not waste time in that. Let's go to week 15. Week 15, Falcons, Bucks, Patriots, Bills. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Let's give the Bills a loss here, just assuming they lose 1 out of the next 3. So then that puts them with 4 losses. Ravens, Bucks. We don't know what this Bucks team's going to be with, like, Burrow. Like, maybe they beat the Bills, and the Bills have 5 losses going after week 15, which makes things interesting. But let's go with Ravens keep winning. They keep the hot hand, and Bengals defense is horrible. Jets, Jags. You know, we're a Jets fan all of a sudden, but let's assume the Jags win. Chargers, Chiefs at Kansas City. Kansas City wins. Okay? Cardinals, Houston wins. Browns, Bears win. Washington, New York. Let's go. Let's say Daniels comes back. I don't know if he is or what. That doesn't matter. Raiders, Eagles win. Colts, Seahawks. Oh my goodness, guys. This is interesting to know. We need the Colts beating their division. We need them beating Houston and Jacksonville, regardless if we think they lose to the Seahawks. You know? Are the Seahawks going to win this game? They're at home? Are they 10-3? Are they going to be right there? Let's give them the win. All right, Packers, Broncos. Let's give the Packers a win on this one, right? I feel like the Broncos fade out a little bit. That's a tough game. We give it to the Packers. We don't trust the Packers necessarily. They're still in first place, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Man, Detroit has a tough schedule. Titans, 49ers win. Panthers, Saints, Panthers win. Lions, Rams. Lions are going to have to win this game. They're going to be 8-5 in that week, assuming 8-5. Let's, for the sake of it, go Rams win, and they just keep going 12-2. Vikings, Cowboys win. Dolphins, Steelers. Okay, we're going with the Dolphins beating this team, and the Steelers at this point are 6-7, and so are we. They just keep losing, so we go to 7-7. So there it is. After week 15, Miami Dolphins are 7-7. And the seventh seed is 8-6, and it's the Chargers. What did I say? It haunts us. It haunts us very much. Seventh seed in the NFC is the Bears, still in it, 9-5 after losing 3 in a row. I don't think they'll lose in 3 in a row, but no, they won. They didn't lose 3 in a row. They beat the Browns, so they lost 2 of 3. Rams first place, 12-2. 2 seed is 11-3 Eagles. 3 seed 9-4-1 Packers. 4 seed 9-5 Bucks. 5th seed 11-3 Seahawks. 6 seed 9-5 49ers. 7th seed 9-5 Browns, leaving Detroit at 8-6 looking in. Very interesting to see how this ends. Go to week 16. Who do we have? Rams, Seahawks. Rams clinch the division with a win. Or can the Seahawks beat the Rams? And wow, how that division's going to come down. Let's give it to the Rams. Still think they're the best. Eagles over Washington. Packers, Bears. Packers at Bears as well. I don't know. Let's just split it. Let's go Bears. Jets, Saints. Let's go Jets. No, let's go Saints. Bills, Browns. Bills will probably win, but another game that you never know what could happen. Chiefs at Titans. Chiefs win. Patriots at Ravens. Let's go Ravens. And now Bills and if the Ravens beat the Patriots, the Bills-Patriots game is huge. So it is not a secure situation for the Patriots necessarily. Their schedule is actually a lot tougher than you would assume down the stretch playing the Bills and Ravens. Chargers at Cowboys. We're going for the Cowboys. We're going for the Cowboys again. The Chargers could lose again. And the Cowboys stay hot. Vikings over... No, let's give it to the Giants. Bucks, Panthers in Carolina. Let's give one to Carolina. They'll still... That one. We'll say they split. Jags at Bills. At Broncos. Really need the Broncos to beat this for us. So this is where we're... Week 16, we're a Broncos fan. Broncos win. Falcons, Cardinals, doesn't matter. Let's give it to the Falcons. Raiders, Houston. Houston wins. Detroit, Steelers at Detroit. Detroit. Dude, Steelers might not win another game, dude. Bengals at Dolphins. Dolphins. 49ers at Colts. Oh, man. The playoff implications for so many of these teams down the stretch, it's very exciting. I'm going to give it to the Colts. They're 11-4. That knocks the 49ers out of the playoff picture and puts the Cowboys in. Cowboys can make it. This is insane. The Cowboys can get in there. But even if we give the 49ers the win, what does that do? Brings the Colts to 10-5. Look, man, makes it interesting, but let's give the Colts the win. So, after week 16 with 2 games left, Denver at the 1 seed, 2 seed Colts, 3 seed Patriots, 4 seed Ravens, 5 seed Buffalo 11-4, 6 seed Jacksonville 9-6, 7 seed Chiefs 9-6. They're in the playoffs. So now we go to week 17, Cowboys Washington. Cowboys are definitely going to go on a run here, guys. And their toughest games are the Chiefs this week. If the Cowboys beat the Chiefs this week, mark my word, they are making the playoffs. Lions at Vikings. Lions win. And puts them at 10-6. Broncos at Chiefs. The payback happens. Chiefs are winning this. You got to assume they are. Giants, Raiders. Giants win. Houston at Chargers. Great. Houston wins. That gets the Chargers out of our way. If the Chargers have this big of a collapse, they get to 8-8. And then that puts Houston at 9-7. Crazy. Seahawks at Panthers. I'll go with Seahawks. Panthers' schedule gets tough. That puts the Panthers at 8-8. Ravens at Packers. Mm. Want to give it to the Packers? Packers 10-5-1. Um, Bengals, Cardinals. We'll give the Bengals a win. Coach is fired in Arizona. Why not? Steelers, Browns. Let's give the Steelers a win. How are the Browns doing? They are 5-10. Yeah, we'll give the Steelers a win. They finally turn it around. They're 7-9. Patriots, Jets. Patriots win. Saints, Titans. Let's give the Titans a win. Jags at Colts. Come on, Colts win this. Colts win this. Seventh seed is now Houston at 9-7. Hold on. Bucks at Dolphins. Dolphins win out. Dolphins win. Doesn't move us there. Eagles at Bills. Do the Bills win? Let's give the Bills a win. Browns at Bears at 49ers. 49ers win. Rams at Falcons. Rams win. Okay, so after week 17, Colts 1 seed 12-4, 2 seed Broncos 12-4, 3 seed 12-4 Patriots, 4th seed 10-6 Ravens, 5th seed 12-4 Buffalo, Chiefs 10-6 at the 6th seed, 7th seed 9-7 Houston. And outside looking in is the 9-7 8th seed Dolphins. Who else is 9-7? Jacksonville. So Jacksonville and Miami looking in with 1 week to go. And Houston, the tiebreaker, I assume, would be that conference record at that point. But this is crazy. Rams 14-2 in first place, assuming they're like winning out. 2 seed Eagles, 3 seed Packers 10-5-1, 4th seed 9-7 Bucks, 5th seed 12-4 Seahawks, 6th seed 10-5-1 Packers. Rematch of that tie. Right now they would match up to each other. 7th seed is 49ers 10-6 and Detroit 10-6 looking in. And who else is looking in? That's it. Just Detroit and Chicago at 10-6 looking in right now behind the 49ers. Because the Cowboys are back in the race. Very interesting to see how this finishes out. We go to week 18. We have Cardinals, Rams. Rams win it. They clinch the 1 seed 15-2. Even if they lost another game, they still would have it. Unless they tied with the Eagles, they would get it because they lost the Eagles. Chargers, Broncos. At this point, that doesn't matter. But God, if we needed the Chargers to win one earlier in the year and they could lose this one, that's great. Let's assume they win 12-5. You know, there's a world where the Chiefs could still win this division. But I'm going to give the Broncos the win. Chiefs at Raiders. Chiefs win. They're in the playoffs at 11-6. Dolphins, Patriots. Whatever. We win somehow. Washington, Eagles. Eagles win. Ravens at Steelers. If the Steelers won this game doesn't matter. So the Ravens rest up. So give it to the Steelers. Seahawks, 49ers. What a big game. Let's give it to the 49ers. They're in a must-win. Colts, Houston for the division. Houston wins. They are in the playoff. Colts win. They are the 1 seed. Cowboys, Giants. Cowboys win. Bengals, Lions, Bears. Lions win. Falcons, Jets, Bills win. Green Bay, Vikings. Green Bay wins. Carolina at Bucks. Bucks win. Titans at Jags. Jags win. Oh, wow. All right. Week 18, it's all done. Miami doesn't make the playoffs. 1 seed is the Colts, 13-4. 2 seed, 13-4 Buffalo, because the Patriots lose to the Dolphins. Interesting. Denver, 13-4, 3 seed, 4 seed, 10-7 Ravens, 5th seed Patriots, 12-5. We're assuming they're losing 3 out of the next 3. They're going to go 3-3. Highly doubt it, but Chiefs 11-6, 6 seed, 7 seed, 10-7 Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know why they would get the tiebreaker over Miami. But that's concerning. And over in the NFC, it's Rams, Eagles, Green Bay, Bucks, 5th seed Seattle, 6th seed Dallas, 7th seed 49ers, Detroit 11-6 not making the playoffs. If that's how it came down. This is where we play around a little bit. Let's say Chargers beat the Broncos. Does that change anything? No. Let's change what game is like, who knows how this could happen. Let's say the Panthers beat the Bucks. They would get in. Cool. Let's change the Texans beat the Colts. Then they would get in. So we really don't have the tiebreaker over Houston or the Colts, which is really concerning. But Houston would knock out the Jags. So let's give it back to the Colts as winning that. What can we do? So week 18, regardless of the outcome, regardless who wins out of Colts, Texans, we're not in unless the Titans beat the Jags, which probably wouldn't happen. So we go back to week 17. If the Chargers somehow beat Houston, and then the next week nope, that doesn't do anything either. So that Chargers Houston game doesn't really matter. I'm playing around. Let's say the Eagles beat the Bills. Obviously, that would put the Bills in a different situation. And the Jags lose. Broncos win. No. Guys, I'm trying to manipulate it in a way that what games are very important for us. And we go to week 16. Okay. Colts beating the 49ers is big. Like, let's say the Colts lose to the 49ers. Okay? And then let's say the Colts also lose to the Jags. No. Let's say the Colts lose to Houston this week. That's not good. We need the Colts to beat Houston. What I'm seeing right here is we have to have the Colts win this week. That game doesn't matter. What's the game that kills us? It's this Jaguars. The Jaguars, look, the Jags this week play the Titans. They're going to win. Week 14, the Jaguars play the Colts. They lose. I have them losing. Okay? Week 15, the Jaguars play... Where are they? They have a bye week. That late in the season. So they don't play any. Oh, no, they play the Jets. They're not going to lose. They play the Titans and Jets in the next, like, that's how important that Cardinals game was. And then they'll lose to the Colts. But they're not going to lose to the Jets or Titans. We're talking about the two worst teams in the AFC. So then week 16, who do the Jags play? The Broncos. And I have them losing. Okay, so then week 17, who do the Jags play? The Colts again. And I have them losing. And that gets them to 7 losses. So then week 18, who do they play? The Titans. So they play the Titans twice, and the Jets, and the Colts twice. And we have them losing to the Colts twice. And we have them losing to the Broncos. So we have them losing to the Broncos and the Colts twice, and then beating the Titans twice and the Jets. So if they're 10-7 and we're 10-7, they hold the tiebreaker over us, guys. And there's nothing we can do about it. So our only hope, really, this is what we figured out. Our only hope is the Jaguars need to lose 4 of 6. Because if they go 3-3, we're effed. And that for them to go 2-4, that means they have to lose one of these Titans games or Jets games. our percentages of making the playoffs are determined on the Jaguars losing to the Titans. They play them twice. Hey, Hurricane fans, call Cam Ward. Can you upset the Jags for us? Hey, New York Jets, after we beat you, can you upset the Jags for us? And assume the Colts beat them twice. Hard to depend on that. Okay? Now, the only other way in, because this is also assuming we've eliminated Houston from the picture. That's Houston losing to the Colts. So we're a big Colts fan going, we want Colts to always win. Because they beat us anyways, we want them to win division. So that's assuming the Colts beat Houston. And then week 15, Houston also loses to the Chiefs. Which, hey man, let's switch it up and have Houston beat the Chiefs. Now they're the 6th seed at 10-7, and the Chiefs are out at 10-7. So there would be a 4-way tie. If Houston in week 14 beats the Chiefs somehow, and then it goes the way it is, the 6th seed would be 10-7, the 7th seed would be 10-7, 8th and 9th seed would be 10-7, the Dolphins and Chiefs. All of us 10-7, Chiefs and Dolphins looking in. All right, but let's say we gave them the win there. Then week 15, who does Houston play? Then Houston plays the Cardinals. I can't give them a loss there. You know? Let's give the Patriots a win over Buffalo. Okay, let's just switch that up. And then we have the Chiefs and Chargers. The Chargers beating the Chiefs. What does that do to them? Makes them 9-8. Doesn't make a difference. Keep the Chiefs with the 10-7. Yeah, Jacksonville plays Jets. They're not going to lose. Houston plays Cardinals. Okay, so week 16. Where is Houston? Houston then plays, in week 16, they play the Raiders. They're 10-7. So their only loss that we need to eliminate them from us is that Chiefs game, and we gave them the Chiefs, which helps eliminate the Chiefs a little bit. So it kind of F's us. And then the Chiefs are playing the Titans in week 16. Hey, can the Titans do something magical for us? We have the Ravens beating the Patriots. What if the Ravens don't beat the Patriots? Then they're the 1 seed. Ooh. Let's have the Ravens win that. Not looking good, guys. Jags lose to the Broncos. Week 17, Houston plays the Chargers. They win. All right, Chargers need to win. Okay, so here it is. We need the Chargers to beat Houston. Assume the Chargers are going to lose a lot. We need Houston to lose to the Chargers. Very specific. But then the Chiefs are back in at 10-7 over us. But they beat the Broncos. Let's have the Broncos beat them again. Then we're in. Week 17 is huge. Week 17, we need the Broncos to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Is that going to happen? And on that same weekend, we would need Houston to beat the Chargers. Because if the Chargers beat Houston, then that means after week 17, the Dolphins are the 17th seed controlling their own destiny. Meaning, what if Houston beat the Colts? Then Houston would get in. So we need the Colts to still win. We would have to beat the Patriots. Chiefs beating the Raiders doesn't matter. We need the Broncos to beat the Chargers. Yep. Broncos would have to beat the Chargers. There's a way. There's a slim way. Then we go back to week 13, playing with everything that we did. Go back to Houston beating the Colts. Man. How about this, guys? If Houston beats the Colts this weekend, that's not good. That's not good for the Dolphins, okay? Let's say the Steelers beat the Bills this week. There's a window. We just learned something. We have a tiebreaker over the Bills. If the Bills lose to the Steelers this week, and then in week 14, the Bills beat the Bengals, but then they lose to the Patriots, then in week 16, the Bills beat the Browns. Week 17, The Bills are where? The Bills have the Eagles and they lose to the Eagles. Week 18, the Bills win. Dude, this is a realistic one. Bills could definitely lose to the Eagles, and they could definitely lose to the Patriots, and they could definitely lose to Houston this week. So there is a tiebreaker. For whatever reason, we would have a tiebreaker over the Bills, and that's our way in. Even if, let's switch this up. If we go back to, this is kind of crazy, dude. If we go back to week 15, Houston beats them. Who was the other team we needed to lose? Colts. Nope. Jags. Chargers. Jags. Okay. Where are the Jags? Right here. Jags lose to the Broncos. What if they beat the Broncos? Doesn't matter. They would be the 5th seed. Doesn't matter. They don't affect us anymore. Houston winning doesn't affect us anymore. Chargers. Okay, what if Houston does? Wow. If Houston beats the Chargers, doesn't affect us. That game doesn't matter. Week 18. Chargers Broncos doesn't affect us. Doesn't affect us. Chargers Houston doesn't affect us. Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. What if Houston beat the Colts this week? Doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect us at all. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's our way in. Houston at Chiefs. Let's say Chiefs win. Doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect us, guys. Nothing affects us the rest of the way. There's a simple path, and it's the Bills. Yes, there's these other paths. Oh my God. There is other ways to get into the playoffs. I thought it was so hard. It's not that hard if it's through the path of the Bills losing 3 more games. And, well, we have to win out. Of course, that's the biggest thing. We have to win out. But, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Can the Steelers... Is Aaron Rodgers playing this week? It's in Pittsburgh. Can the Steelers beat the Bills this week? Dude, if the Steelers beat the Bills this week, that's huge. That will put the Bills at 5 losses. And they will still have to play the Patriots, the Bengals next week with Burrow. That's not a guaranteed thing. Then in week 16, the Browns in Cleveland. Then week 17, the Eagles in Buffalo. Then week 18, the Jets. There's a path. And if we have the tiebreaker over the Bills, then nothing matters. Everyone is winning. Look, even if you give the Chiefs would be ahead of us, the Jags would be ahead of us. But if the Jags are ahead of us, that's because they're beating the Houston games. If Houston beats, look, if I even change Houston beats the Colts, and if Houston gets to 9-8, let's give them another win somewhere else, and they beat the Chargers. That's the only way. Houston would have to win out. Who else are they playing? Okay. Who do they play in week 14? The Chiefs. But let's say they beat the Chiefs. Then the Dolphins are back in. Dude, Houston would have to... No, let's say they beat them. Okay, if Houston beat the Colts this week, and then the last week of the season beat the Colts again, they would win the division, and then the Colts would get the wild card, and we would be eliminated. But if the Colts just won one of those games, no, that doesn't matter. Oh, wow. No, I mean, there's a way. There's a way for us to still not make the playoffs. If Houston wins pretty much, if Houston... Oh, Houston would have to win out. What if they lost this game? Doesn't matter. It puts them at 10-7. Look, we're rooting for the Chiefs to lose 2 more, regardless. It's tough. Oh man, it's gonna be it's a low percentage chance, but it's something to be excited about. I don't know. I hope that's entertaining for you guys. But look, tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments what you come up with. But you can do these. There's playoff predictors on ESPN, NFL.com. That was so fun. Again, if you like the channel, subscribe, like, and fins up. And if you're a Miami Dolphins fan and you live in Orlando, I'll be there end of January. And then I got Reno after the new year. So tickets at Michael Lenoci or hit me up on my Instagram. Bye.